afternoon and happy Wednesday, everyone. Allie Corman, Ken Shreve here with a look at the stock market today. And we are going to discuss the volatile trading action that we saw after the Fed minutes, and Ken definitely took a turn lower heading into the close.
Yeah, not a great close. The good news is that we did get lower volume, it looks like, for the NASDAQ and S&P 500, so that's kind of cold comfort. But we'll take a look at three stocks today that held up pretty well. ZIM Integrated Shipping on a pretty strong earnings report. The stock closed near lows, but still looks good technically. Cleveland Cliffs reclaimed a buy point. And finally, we'll take a look at Atlassian, which is just trading beautifully after a really strong earnings report in late July.
Yeah, we'll get to all that and also check in on NVIDIA with its earnings report due after the close today. So any minute now, and we'll be providing you our real-time reaction. But first, a look at the NASDAQ. Not a good close, as we mentioned, Ken, with the NASDAQ falling 0.9% for the day. The S&P and Dow down 1.1% apiece, and the Russell 2000 down about 0.8%. So the NASDAQ coming down all the way now to its 50-day line.
Yeah, that's looking like it's going to be a test. We'll see if we can get some sort of bounce tomorrow or maybe on Friday and then see if it finds support. But yeah, it was a pretty volatile reaction to the release of the Fed minutes. These are minutes from the late July Fed meeting. Apparently, you can see all the selling that happened during the final hour of trading. But it seems like some committee members support some tapering to the monthly asset purchases before the end of the year. There's still a group that thinks they should wait until early 2022. So I think the Jackson Hole Economic Symposium next week could provide some additional color on the Fed's timing. If not then, maybe the September meeting and probably no later than the November reading. We'll get we'll get a pretty clear picture on what this tapering of monthly asset purchases is going to look like.
And while we do have the NASDAQ taking a trip to its 50-day line, the S&P 500 and Dow are still holding up around their 21-day line, although the S&P closing below that level today, just above the 4,400 mark. But all in all, if you take a step back, I mean, the S&P still has some room to go if it were to pull back to its 50-day.
Yeah, definitely. And listen, we've been talking about it on IBD Live. It's just kind of a difficult market. A lot of screens that we run looking for actionable stocks. They're becoming less prominent with prospects. So the number of actionable stocks seems to be, on the decline. We've been talking about, waning breadth on the NASDAQ for some time now. So there's a lot of yellow flags out there, and there's always uncertainty in the market. And there's that advanced decline line that's been trending lower for several weeks now. So there's a lot of uncertainty, mostly in terms of the Fed. Of course, there's the Delta variant as well that is kind of throwing a wrench in things. But all the while, the screens are just not yielding much right now. So I think playing some defense right now, locking in some partial gains is probably a good strategy.
Okay, and let's now take a look at some standouts from today. So ZIM, as you mentioned, ZIM gaining on its earnings report out today, up about 2.6% by the session's close. Some heavy volume behind the move. It's now had a string of several up days in a row here. Ken, did close off of its highs for the day, but it's in a very notable trending industry group right now.
Yeah, no doubt. You can see the shipping group ranks all the way up, number 27 out of 197 groups that we rank. Interesting that ZIM closed up more than 2% today, but there were sellers in the stock. You can see it got close to that 50 level, and then got turned away, and the stock closed near session lows. So it's a good example of why it's important not to buy a stock as it's forming the right side of a base, which ZIM is doing right now. Still like the look of the weekly chart, which is just a nice looking cut base taking shape here. Definitely some signs of accumulation as the base is forming here. So we've seen this pattern, time and time again. What is a likely scenario is that ZIM gets close to that recent high, like it's doing right now, and then starts to drift lower, maybe adds a little downward drifting handle area. This one's still on breakout watch amid pretty good fundamentals in the the shipping group, and you can see the results that the company has delivered, including the latest second quarter results with revenue up 200% year over year, and a big earnings and sales beat.
You make a good point about not just buying up on the right side of the base. Even if you are seeing a positive reaction to earnings, you really still want to be pinpointing those buys. And we were saying this morning on IBD Live that we would ideally like to see a handle form here. So we'll have to see if we have that development. And elsewhere, let's check in on CLF, Cleveland Cliffs, in the steel producers group after a big week last week for the steel group, pulling in on Monday and Tuesday, but a number of them rebounding today, including CLF, which had a gain of about 2.4% and arguably actionable.
Yeah, and the steel group is interesting. It took a big hit yesterday, and but it was one of the top performing groups today. This amid concerns about slowing demand out of China as their economy slows down a little bit. But the steel stocks in general had a pretty good day today. I like the look of the chart here. Cleveland Cliffs did get pulled down late with the broad market sell-off, but you can see it's still kind of sitting in that buy zone, support at the 21-day moving average today. 24.87 looks like a perfectly reasonable buy point here, and at 25.02, if you want to try a small position on for size here, that would work pretty well, and maybe put a stop in below today's low is one strategy. But I think Cleveland Cliffs looks pretty good here.
And just for a visual comparison, a quick check-in on Nucor, and STLD looks similar as well. We pointed out an early entry here last week, and now it looks like it is there's a bit of a buoy for shares around this 120 level. So interesting move there that we're pointing out with CLF still actionable at current levels, while Nucor, some others are extended. And what about Atlassian, ticker TEAM, gaining fractionally today, so off of its highs along with the market as well, but notable to see the impressive strength on that move on earnings, and then the stock holding those gains.
Yeah, absolutely. Strength and support after a breakout is what you want to see. So it's holding gains after that gap up in late July. The stock faded a little bit on the day after it reported earnings, but just really like how it's holding gains. You can see on Monday the stock tried to sell off, and look at what it did. It closed up near its high, even though it closed lower. It paired losses and closed up near its high, and just really like the look of this stock. It's not actionable right now, but what I'm doing right now is just kind of building a watch list of stocks that are holding up well and showing good technical action. So if we look at the weekly chart for TEAM, this is just as good looking a weekly chart as you can see here. Tight weekly closes after that bullish weekly gain, and Atlassian is proving itself definitely a software stock to watch, and the tight trading could yield another entry point in the not too distant future if this market can hold itself together. But there are a lot of yellow flags out there, and we've been trimming positions in leaderboard, raising some cash, and so we're a little concerned about the broad market health, but definitely like the technical action here.
Yeah, reason to be a bit cautious. And if Atlassian can close around these levels this week, or within 1.5% of last week's close, that would, as you said, yield a new setup through a 3 weeks type pattern. So you wouldn't need to wait for it to cross that high that it hit on that move on earnings to get in using a 3 weeks type.
Absolutely true, and we're seeing some decent technical setups out there, but the market is just the market's tricky right now, as today showed. We were looking good, mixed, and mostly unchanged, and there really wasn't anything mind blowing in the Fed minutes. They said, some committee member said that some of these economic goals that they're shooting for are close to being met. So the Fed has done a pretty good job of telegraphing this tapering of asset purchases. The market just wants to know when, and if it is going to happen this year, that might be a little earlier than some would expect, and that could result in an upward lift in interest rates, which the market probably wouldn't like. So for now, just kind of take a look at your current holdings. It's okay to be raising some cash and taking in some profits. Above all else, you don't want to let small losses turn into unmanageable ones.
So we will keep our watch list fresh and see what tomorrow brings. If the NASDAQ can rebound off of its 50-day line, that would also mean if the S&P moves higher too, a rebound right around the 21-day line. So we'll have to see. We know conditions can change quickly, but we will be open to any scenario on the upside and downside. And before we go, let's check in on NVIDIA. This chart, of course, just showing what happened in today's regular session, with the stock finishing down a little over 2%. Earnings are coming after the close. Right now, it's down about 2% as we await the headlines for what earnings were like for the most recent quarter.
Yeah, it looks like the report just came out, so we're going to have to spend some time going through it. They're expected to report really, really strong growth, but again, so high multiple stocks can be held to a high standard. So under a little bit of selling pressure right now, but like I said, the report just came out, so we'll give it a lot of coverage tomorrow morning for sure in IBD Live.
That we will. Okay, Ken, thank you very much. And also important to remember that after hours or even pre-market action doesn't necessarily always translate to the regular session. So we will have to see what happens come tomorrow morning, but we will be all over it. All right, Ken, thank you for your analysis, and thank you everyone for tuning in. We will be back with more tomorrow morning on IBD Live, investors.com/IBD Live, for our analysis of actionable trade ideas in real time and breaking down, as always, current market conditions and portfolio management strategies. We'll see you there and see you back here after the close.